Hi, I'm Sujith Nair, CEO and co-founder of Beckn Foundation. I'd like to thank Converge at Walmart for giving me the opportunity, and thank you all for taking time to log in for this talk. Over the next 10 minutes, I'll try and make us reimagine the model of digital commerce or e-commerce as it is today, and instead see it as open networks. Talking about open networks, I think the biggest open network around us is the internet itself, or the World Wide Web, as we call it. Now, who would have thought that in 1973, this little network of 70-odd terminals, nodes, and devices together will go on to consume the whole world and change our lives in ways more than one? Today, with over 20 billion devices connected to it, internet is the host for world's largest taxi network, room network, retail, content, communication, and so much more. Now, who would have thought this would how internet be today, back in 1973, or even as late as 1995, or even early 2000s? The reason why the internet grew and become so big and become part of our mainstream life is because I think it's fundamentally open. And the openness comes largely from the open specification that enable the network to get created. And these open specifications are what we call the protocols, whether it's the HTTP protocol for the web or the underlying TCP/IP protocols for the network. It is these open specifications that allowed internet to be open and make anybody on the planet, if they want to get onto the network, access the internet and the rich resources on top of it. Now, for a moment, if you were to think, what if internet was not open? How would the internet look like? Would there be many internets working in silos, or no internet at all? Scary thought, isn't it? Now, if I were to look at all the big internet businesses, the so-called giants on the internet, now would they be standing on their own? Would they be have they invented every piece of what it takes to be online by themselves? What if the internet itself was not open, or GPS was not opened up? Would there be a WhatsApp or an Uber or an Airbnb today? Would the smartphone be smart without them? Would the map be an app on your phone instead of it remaining on the bookshelf? It's therefore important to see how open specifications that of HTTP or the internet, or of that GPS for that matter, how they have created a layer of innovation on top of innovation to kind of create this humongous possibility of digital economy that we stand to benefit from. It's therefore important to realize how open specifications fundamentally supercharge innovation, pretty much like life on Earth. If you look at the billion years of evolution of life on the planet, there's a theory which says that about 500 million years ago, there was this very small, relatively small time window of 50 million years during which the oxygen and other gases concentration went through the roof in the atmosphere, and suddenly the life started diversifying. This heterogeneous evolution of life leading to all the flora and fauna that we see today. It's all come from that very small time window of 15 million years called the Cambrian explosion. Now, internet has created something similar in the last, several decades of its existence, and who can imagine what it will look like, another few decades from now? It's beyond the expanse of imagination, and it's all because of underlying open specifications. Now, this kind of sets the context for what I said at the beginning about reimagining e-commerce or digital commerce as open networks. Now, if you look at e-commerce model, the model of e-commerce today, it's built on a very simple premise. The premise being that the buyer and the seller need to be on the same platform to have any e-commerce interactions between them. Now, whether it's the mobility, the retail, the food delivery, the hospitality, any such domain or sector anywhere in the world, the model seems to be the same, where the buyer and the seller need to be on the same platform, which means the entire e-commerce interaction, the order lifecycle from search or discovery to, say, ordering, fulfillment, post-fulfillment, all happens on one platform. Now, it essentially creates a situation where you need a platform or a platform intermediary to bring the buyer and seller online. Right. And we need to assume always that the platform always has this incentive that is aligned to that of a buyer and seller, and of course has this power to exert influence on both sides. Now, each of these platforms across different domains are trying to grow in silos and expand and build a market on its own. Now, what if you were to go back to the principles of internet itself and think of commerce as an open network instead of a platform centric marketplace that you see on the left-hand side of the screen in front of you, or as an open network marketplace. In an open network marketplace whereby the seller and the buyer have the choice to be on any platform of their choice. The consumer, the buyer could be on any of the common popular apps like say a browser, or a chat interface or a payment app or any app of its choice. And the seller on the other side too has several choices. It can probably build its own bespoke application or be part of an aggregator platform, or even take an appliance like a POS payment machine and make its catalog of goods and services available on the network to be discoverable naturally discoverable by the sellers on their platforms on the other side. Now, why is that so difficult to imagine? Here's a network where the seller has the choice and freedom to come be discoverable at its own command and play by its own rules on an open network. Sounds something very familiar to something that we do every day. And that is the emails, right? It's very similar to emails or the internet itself. In emails specifically, if you look at the sender and receiver of emails, they don't ask each other if they're using the same platform, if they're on the same platform to send or exchange emails. They don't even know which platform the other person on, and they still exchange emails. And today we have over 200 billion emails being sent across the planet. It's all because of open specifications that drives the email network across the globe. And this specifications is called the SMTP protocol. Now, is it so difficult to imagine something similar for commerce? Now, this idea, this is not an imagination or a figment of imagination anymore. It's actually has come to life in the city of Kochi. Today, we have what is called as an open mobility network, perhaps the world's first such network, which is built on an open protocol that allows the taxi providers to be on any platform of their choice, and the consumers discover taxis on any other platform of their own choice. And soon you'll have the buses, the auto rickshaws, the bicycles, the ferries, and the parking lots and the EV charging stations, all part of one big growing network, which is local open network for that city of Kochi. Now, this idea of open networks in mobility is also seen in some of the other implementations that are happening today in the area of retail and delivery. If you look at open retail network, there are these merchants on different platforms, and these platforms, the platform providers have come together voluntarily to set up this network among themselves to allow their merchants to discover orders from not just their own platforms, but any other consumer app on the other end. And these merchants, in turn, after receiving the order, can use another network, the open delivery network, to find a delivery agent across any delivery platforms on the network. So you have an open retail network and a delivery network, and both working together as a network of network. Now, that's possible if there are open specification or common protocol that brings them all together. Now, this is again possible because today we have something called as a Beckn protocol, an open protocol for commerce, which essentially takes the whole grammar of commerce, the order life cycle that I was speaking about, into and translating them into a protocol open specifications. This protocol is just a specification, a language of communication that is commerce aware for two business machines to interact. And it's not an app or a platform. It's just a specification and has no runtime of itself. And it allows any kind of technologies for the seller and buyer to use, the examples that I was taking, and even for the network to be set up on. It could be set up on the web, the World Wide Web, or maybe perhaps even on a blockchain. It's completely technology neutral, but allows for creation of what is called as open networks, an open network digital marketplace for commerce, perhaps for the first time in the world. And the protocol was designed and set up by the Beckn Foundation, which was founded in 2019 as a not-for-profit organization. And since May 2020, we have been inviting a lot of voluntary participations from industry, academia, and other places to contribute to the evolution of these open specifications. And we believe this open specification-based open marketplace as an open playground can be a bigger reality and a bigger, helps create bigger networks in the times to come. With that, I would request you all to join this growing open community of Beckn Protocol and be a part of this new reality. Once again, thanks Converge at Walmart for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am Rahil. I am the founder of LightSpeed electric bicycles. Today, I will talk to you about my journey from having an idea and starting up as a company, and then having a lot of Indians use electric bicycles in various forms of their life, and even people starting businesses around electric bicycles. So, back in 2015, when I had the idea of an electric bicycle, the difficult part was that we never had electric bicycles in India at that point of time. So I took a battery, I took a motor, and put them on an electric bicycle, as you can see in the first picture. That just gave me an idea of what the potential of electric mobility can be, especially with an electric bicycle, because the larger two-wheelers definitely have their advantages. But what we saw in an electric bicycle was that it can be used by a lot more people, and it can be used in lot many different ways. So this basically started my journey as an entrepreneur. I had no idea of doing business back in 2015. Neither had I any idea about bicycles. Neither I had any idea about, say, electrics. But the desire was to present the Indian market with a product which has utilities, and up to a certain extent we were also contemplating the fact that what people will use an electric bicycle for. And nonetheless, we went, we prototyped a lot, we built bicycles, and then what you see in the final picture is one of our models that we had in the Indian market. So when the cycle was presented, a lot of people were quite skeptic in the early days. They always said, this is not something that will work in India. West is a different thing. People don't cycle in India. This is far too expensive. There is no value for money. And there were naysayers all around. But what we thought when we gave the cycle as a product to people, people really appreciated the, I would say, the nuances of a cycle, what an electric cycle presents. It is a lightweight cycle. It can go up to a much further distance than what a regular cycle can. Running cost of an electric bicycle is pretty less than what a running cost of a compared two-wheeler is. And it is much agile in the traffic conditions that we have here back in India. So along the presentation, I'll show you different use cases and how people have used it in different ways. So yeah, coming to this slide, this image represents three men basically on three different cycles. But what is interesting is one of the men is from a metro town in India. The other person is the professor on the left is from a tier 2 city, whereas the man on the right is from a rural background. All these men basically used cycles in very different way. See, the person in urban Bangalore uses for commute, and he saves a lot of petrol bills, as well as it happens to be he gets a little active mobility when he reaches office. And on his way back, probably if he's tired enough or so, he can definitely use electric motor and come back home. Whereas for the professor, the reason for buying an electric bicycle was much different. So the professor lives in a campus which is 100 or 1,000 acres, whereas he would have to travel 8 kilometers to fill petrol in his two-wheeler. And he would just be using the two-wheeler in his campus. So for him, an electric bike made sense because now from his home to his classes, he pretty much travels on an electric bicycle. Whereas people in rural areas generally don't have much longer distances to travel. But they have shorter distances, and for them, petrol becomes much more costly to purchase. And as petrol back in the rural areas is not as freely available from the petrol station as the electricity would. So for all three of them, coming from different socio-economic backgrounds, an electric cycle made perfect sense. These are all actually paying customers. Coming to that, a lot of people said that back in India, women don't cycle. And cycling for women is something they don't cycle on the streets and all. But we found women as very eager takers to the cycle. Women majority use electric bicycles in many different ways than say men would. Many of them would be looking to use an electric cycle for say weight loss. Many of them actually look to electric cycle for a leisure Sunday ride or a morning ride. But nonetheless, it turned out to be a good value proposition for women because they didn't want to do the whole effort of normal cycling, but then they still wanted benefits of an electric cycle and a cycle. So that is one of our many use cases that we have seen. Adventure is something where our electric cycles have taken off really well. People in the mountains, they have a tough time climbing the slopes. So they prefer a electric cycle more than a regular cycle for obvious reason that they don't have to sweat and their thighs and all. And the beauty of it is that this product is such so versatile that you could enjoy it on a plane and you can also enjoy it on the hills. Earlier slides were pretty general use cases of the electric bicycle as such. I'll just bring to your attention some unique things that people actually did on an electric bicycle. So we had a family, French family traveling in India. They picked up two electric bicycles and did a 1200-kilometer tour of Rajasthan on electric bicycles with a child, as you can see in the middle picture. We have one gentleman who put a solar panel behind an electric bicycle and did 1200 kilometers of cross-country riding just to showcase environment, technology, and electric technology to different school kids, corporates, and anybody who wanted to hear more about it. And say the gentleman on the left, he basically is a guy who runs from one house to another, fixing cable television in rural India. So for him, using an electric bicycles meant saving a lot of petrol bills. He basically uses it for a commercial application. It is not a means of leisure or fitness for him. So these were some unique cases. I move on to something that was even bigger than an individual customer. So people, there are one is a township in Bombay where they have used electric bicycles for internal commute to their citizens and to workers there. So that was something that happened, and we were quite, I would say, we were quite joyed by the fact that even bigger townships are now thinking of electric bicycles. And then we have a community in Oroville, which probably is the whole community is around the eco-friendly lifestyles and eco-friendly being with the nature. And for them, electric bicycles actually make a lot more sense than having other forms of mobility on the campus because they're trying to make it a pollution-free campus. And Oroville near Pondicherry is a good example of how we can actually use electric mobility to bring down emissions. Yes, customers are always good. You enjoy them using the electric bicycles. You have different stories coming out of it. But the greatest joy is people starting their own business on electric bicycles. So basically, these are two different companies. One is based out of Manali and the other is based out of Goa. So one gives electric cycles for rental to tourists. The other companies actually build around electric bicycles, taking people around from say one place to another and giving them a guided tour. So that's about how we have say the success of electric bicycle in India continues. This is one image that is pretty close to my heart, I would say. This is four friends enjoying a good Sunday ride, and that about sums up my journey from somebody who had a prototype of an electric bicycle to somebody who seen people enjoying using the electric bicycles per se. And I wish people say use the electric bicycle more in the coming days. It saves a lot of pollution. It saves a lot of petrol costs, and in all, it's a good means of transport. Thanks a lot. That's all I would say.
Hi, My name is Hena Mehta, and I'm the co-founder of Basis, India's financial services destination for women. Let's rewind a bit. The year was 2016. I had just gotten into my dream business school. Years and months of hard work had finally paid off. A few days after getting that initial admit call, the elation started to wear off a little. And it suddenly dawned on me, how was I going to pay for this? As you may know, business school in the US is not cheap. I had 7 years of work experience and had earned a decent amount of money and had ample time and opportunity to plan my financial goals and invest my money in order to pay for this. But for whatever reason, I didn't. I didn't want to take on student debt because that would destroy my dreams of starting a company after my MBA. Long story short, I liquidated my retirement savings. My family pitched in a little, and I took on a small loan to finance this. But this was a huge problem and stayed at the back of my mind for a while. Fast forward a couple of years, I had moved back to India and interacted with over 500 women across tier 1 and tier 2 cities in the country to validate my hypothesis around how women were generally left out of financial service. I learned that 9 out of 10 women were in the same boat as me. There was access to income and savings and some money, but that's where the buck stopped. Women had a strong intent and desire to do something different and were seeking privacy, autonomy, control, and independence when it came to their money management. But nothing in the market was really catering to their financial needs and their ways of making financial decisions. Existing platforms in the country had over an 80 to 90% of their user base as male. And it's also safe to assume from the balance 10 or 15% represented by women, a large majority were women-named accounts that were being handled and managed by fathers and spouses and brothers. So the actual number of women participating, whether you're looking at investments or insurance or even the credit markets in India, were very, very small. Just double clicking on women's financial lives, there are structural differences that make our lives as women very different from those of men. Let's start with income. On average, women tend to earn less than men. You've probably heard of the gender pay gap, which is anywhere between 25 to 34% in India. Add to this, women live longer than men. On average, women outlive their male counterparts by about 4 to 5 years. Women tend to take more career breaks, so income patterns may look a little checkered. Women have higher healthcare costs over the course of their lives. And if all of this wasn't enough, we also pay more for personal care products due to this other phenomenon called the pink tax, where similar products that are made for men and women, but are marketed to women, are sold at a premium when compared to the products marketed to men. So not only does it cost more to be a woman, we earn less and we need money to last us longer. And a lot of these factors aren't taken into account by existing platforms while designing products and services and advice for women. In a lot of ways, financial services has defaulted to a one-size-fits-all men approach. And this is one of the reasons where women tend to get left out as well. Going into what some of the barriers and gaps are that are preventing women from taking that leap into managing their personal finances. It starts with both a knowledge and a trust gap. I don't know enough, and therefore my money is just probably best left in the fixed deposit in my bank. I don't trust the advice. I don't trust what my bank RM told me to do with my money. I don't feel that my needs are being taken into account. And finally, existing products and services and advice in the market just doesn't seem to take my needs into account as a woman. And there's a massive relatability gap there as well. So the outcome of this, what ends up happening is we're talking of billions of dollars in investable assets that are lying as either fixed deposits or gold. 80+% of women are either under or uninsured from a health insurance standpoint. And 90+% of loans disbursed in our country are disbursed to men. So I asked myself, what can we do to fix this? As with any innovation, it starts with identifying pain points in a problem and coming up with a solution to fixing those gaps. And so this is what sowed the seeds for Basis. Basis is India's financial services destination for women that is powered by education and communities. Our platform, the user journey on our platform, starts with a community and education-driven approach to fix the knowledge and trust gaps that we identified. The outcome of the communities and education, which ends up solving for those initial barriers, the outcomes are actionable recommendations and curated products that work for this audience of women and that are designed keeping gender intelligent insights in mind at all times. So the user journey on Basis is that of a learn, discuss, and transact. And the loop continues as women go through different ages and stages in their lives with different financial requirements at each stage. We've been thrilled to see phenomenal traction since we launched our product about 12 to 18 months ago. Our mobile-first platform has just crossed about 100,000 app downloads. We've seen over a 200% growth in our active users in our platform over the last quarter. And an increasing share of members joining Basis are coming from organic sources. So with Basis, we are essentially targeting the single largest underserved vertical within financial services by curating a deeply thought out, hyper-focused solution that's anchored in communities and education, and then ends in bespoke products that work for this audience. So the next time a woman has a question about money, or is on the lookout for a financial product that works for her, she doesn't need to lean on a male member in her family. She doesn't have to force fit herself into existing, typically male-centric options and then try to find a choice that could best suit her needs, but doesn't exactly fit her needs. With Basis, she gets information, advice, and products that finally work for her. And we're essentially turning this massive latent demand in financial services into active, informed customers. At Basis, women are the thought and not the afterthought. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Poonam, and it's wonderful to be here as part of Converge at Walmart. Thank you so much. I'm going to start by sharing a story about how I got interested in waste. I'm trained as an industrial designer, and I've always been interested to see how design can actually help with issues like waste, water, skilling the nation. And so 15 years ago, I got focused on waste. We all know that as the cities grow, waste will grow. But what is interesting is all waste is not the same. And this inquiry, I started looking at the dustbins around us in our homes. And I found this very interesting fact. 60% by weight of all our dustbins is organic, that which goes back into soil. Yeah. And this is by weight. And then I found that organic waste itself is 60% water. And so when I looked at this whole behavior that we had in our dustbins and our homes, in our cities in India, I found that we were taking all this waste and we were throwing it into landfills. And this was becoming a problem, and it would only grow as a problem. So I went back and thought about it and said, all right, this 60%, right now we're spending taxpayers' money. We're taking it, and once it gets mixed, right? Once when this 60% of great material is mixed into recyclable waste and toxic waste and sanitary waste, your diapers, it all becomes like poison. So we're taking this poison, we're spending taxpayers' money, we're putting it into trucks, and we're transporting this poison, and we're going and polluting and landing this poison in one place. What was the alternative? The alternative is actually keep this organic, wonderful material at source, don't throw it out, and convert it into compost. And even then myself, right, I had done biology in school and I'd forgotten about compost. The compost was something I did every day. So I went back and relearned composting. And I was like surprised. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I read a little more and found that compost is now the most critical thing for soil to become alive, to give us healthy food. And then scientists are now figuring out that compost is this wonderful material for climate change mitigation. It locks carbon into soil. So soil is a sink of carbon, and compost helps that. I said, wow, this is really wonderful. And I started talking about this to everybody. And I said, do you know this? Do you know this? People said, yeah, that's fine. But what do you think we can do? Waste is such a large problem. And you want me to keep this material in my house. It starts stinking. It has bugs. What am I going to do? I need to throw it out. That's when we went back to the drawing board and we created India's first home composter. And this is what the composter looks like. We had to actually change mindsets. We wanted Indians, urban Indians, to suddenly become proud of saying, I am part of the solution. I'm not part of the waste problem. I'm actually going to contribute and become part of the solution. This particular product was designed keeping in mind that it was not good to look like a dustbin. And it would be something that you could keep proudly in your garden, in your balcony. It would be convenient that it would not smell. It would not create problems for you. And at the end of 30 days or 40 days, you'd get rich compost. So this was the design solution we came up with. And we started off as a project, and then it became a company. And looking back, we can see this is 15 years ago. And looking back, we created an iconic symbol for pride built in India for the world. And this product, because we took certain decisions, it's now copied across the world. It's being used in many places. And over the 15 years, we've added a whole range of products. We like to think of ourselves as a design-led brand in the business, not in the business of waste management, but in the business of mindset change. And we look at different mindsets. How do people look at decentralized versus centralized systems? How do they look at people who work with waste as unskilled labor or recycling gurus? How do you make waste from yucky move to cool? How do you get people not to mix but segregate? How do you get people to understand they don't have to throw, but first they should know and then take action? So we are looking at mindsets. And over the 15 years, that has been our primary effort to create tools and methods to allow for mindset change. And we look at our impact, we look at it in broad ways. We say, all right, how did we change perceptions? How did we demonstrate value? How did we build pride? And just by, the fact that there are customers all over the country who are doing this, they're able to keep a lot of material out of landfill daily. And so we measure what is the nutrition flow of regeneration, because we also pick up compost and we give it back to farmers. What is our carbon saving in the costs that are, the truck pollution and landfill pollution and methane gas emission pollution? And of course, the whole amount of livelihoods that we've enabled for potter communities across the country. The other way we measure it is also about how many tons of organic waste are collectively kept out of landfill by our customers. And today, we have more than 50,000 tons of organic waste is kept out of landfill every day by our customers alone, not by one person or one factory or one plant. And we've inspired more than 40 lookalikes, which we've documented. And because we're an open source company, we also have shared a lot of our designs in the Creative Commons. Looking back, I think one of the things that we are very happy about is that we have created an entire ecosystem where others also have come in, and now we have competition. So we've enabled a space, and Swachh Bharat came much later. So we actually created enabling space where Swachh Bharat is now part of everybody's mandate, and we say everybody can clean up India, and that's our motto. So if you've not started composting, please reach out to us. We'll be very happy to show you how easy it is, how simple it is, and how you can do it in your home and teach your children also. And I'd like to end by saying our Daily Dumps mandate is making it easy for you and me to keep cleaning up India, and also look at about our relationship, our interconnectedness with ourselves and the earth that we live in, because I think that's the need of the hour. Thank you again, Walmart, and thank you, Your Story. It's been great having this opportunity to share this story with all of you. Thank you.
What is an innovation-based sustainable business model? Imagine a farmer, Mahesh, who belongs to a community of traditional cotton farmers from a small village in India. Unlike his forefathers, Mahesh is a smart farmer and uses his mobile apps and artificial intelligence to manage his organic cotton farm remotely, without disturbing the ecological balance. Michelle, a savvy millennial working in New York, believes in sustainable living. She is excited to purchase her new exquisite HygroCotton temperature regulating sheet set from Walmart.com, which would keep her cooler in summer and warmer in winter. She scans the well-tracked traceability QR code on the packaging, which tells her the entire product journey right up to Mahesh's farm, who supplied the cotton to Welspun for making the bed sheets. Michelle and Mahesh are the embodiment of how innovation and technology can help us make a remote connection from farm to home and enable us to co-create a world where businesses are in sync with the environment as well as the consumer needs. Hello, future leaders, change makers, and my fellow innovators. I would like to begin by thanking Walmart for inviting me to speak at the India Innovators Showcase track. These stories of a farmer to a conscious consumer are just among the thousands that Welspun is inspiring through its farm-to-shelf capabilities as a global home textile leader. The $26 trillion global retail industry is on the cusp of a dramatic and rapid transformation. The pandemic has resulted in massive shifts in consumer behavior and preferences, disrupting the entire consumption landscape. The onus is not only on the retailer, but the entire global value chain to adapt and respond to earn the trust and loyalty of consumers today. We believe that the future depends upon our understanding of the present and being responsive to the needs of our consumers. We have invested in Brain Trust, a real-time platform for focused consumer researchers. Brain Trust provides feedback from home enthusiasts and enables us to make data-driven decisions to pioneer consumer-relevant, innovative products. Let me share about Neeraj, who is a bright engineer at a manufacturing plant in Anjar and a pass-out of Welspun's upskilling program. He is now conversant with Industry 4.0 technologies and uses AI-powered vision camera, digital QA for effective quality control to meet Walmart's product requirements. Neeraj's peers also use optimizers for effective shop floor planning, IoT to connect machines and provide real-time performance monitoring. They deploy robotic processes, automation for increased scalability and a host of other innovative technologies for better operational efficiencies. Madhu in US uses predictive analytics through a global command and control center to efficiently manage the supply chain and service the retail demand. We are also providing complete supply chain transparency with a patented well-track technology, a multi-level traceability solution built on the blockchain platform. This is how we are integrating from retail shelf to farms. Welspun has been proud to partner with Walmart for over 2 decades, being part of fashion and textile industry, which engages 1 in every 6 person in the world and is the second largest polluter on the planet. We at Welspun believe it's our responsibility as an industry leader to be an agent for change. Our manufacturing unit at Anjar is located in a remote arid region. Through our water management systems and sewage treatment plant with a daily capacity of 30 million liters, we use only recycled water for our manufacturing. The fresh water remains available for farmers and local communities. We are also supporting local women and empowering them to gain financial independence through our social initiative, SPUN. I believe that if a woman earns, her kids go to school, the whole community prospers and the nation progresses. Our products are primarily made out of cotton. Being a resource-intensive crop, we support thousands of farmers in sustainable agronomic know-how, latest farm techniques and technologies. We have partnered with MIT to set up a hydroponic farming greenhouse to grow cotton sustainably with limited natural resources. We have crafted new pathways of progress on the back of our 32 patents, the highest in the industry, and through global technology collaborations. Our patented agrotechnology is one such successful global innovation that has completed 15 years and achieved over $3 billion in retail sales. Today, we are engaging with customers on digital platforms and showcasing our products through virtual showrooms. Our Innovation Center is working on next-gen technologies in partnership with global startups. We are even developing smart textiles, allowing consumers to connect home textiles to their devices for better health and sleep. At Welspun, we have built a great culture on the principles of innovation, customer centricity, collaboration, and inclusive growth. With this strong foundation, we are committed to shape the future of retail. Thank you.
Saathi was co-founded in 2015, where we started looking at feminine hygiene space because it's a problem which exists in first world countries and even in third world countries as well, where we realized that there is something called period poverty. Whether you are in US, UK, or in India, doesn't matter which country you belong to, whether it is developing or developed country. You would see that women all around the world are not able to afford feminine hygiene products because of their price point, because of not their of them being available, because of awareness around it, and a lot of in general religious orthodox taboos around it. So we decided to set on a journey where we can make a difference and change the hygiene space from its foundation itself. Where currently, if you look at the hygiene space, it is making products which are full of plastics, chemicals, using a lot of wood pulp, which causes afforestation, soil pollution, and a lot of water damage when you go through the pulping industry and paper industry. While if you look at the figures that are associated with feminine hygiene space, you can see 60% of women goes through UTIs and ITIs through their life while they are menstruating. 23 million girls just alone in India are dropping out of school because they are not able to afford a proper feminine hygiene product. And not just that, as I said, the products are made out of plastic and chemical. Even with 36% of women only using pads, created 21.8 billion disposable pads. That is not a small amount. And if we want to cover that in landfills, we would need 4 largest states of India to be converted into landfills: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka, to be included in landfill just to make sure that these pads are disposed properly. Now, when it comes to global opportunity, there is a huge opportunity of 20.85 billion US dollars in total. India alone, $550 million itself. But there is, in terms of penetration, it is very small. In India only, 36% has been a penetration which has increased in last 5 years. When you talk about 2011 and 2015 figures, it was only 12% and 14% in terms of penetration. Considering with more awareness around menstrual hygiene and movies which have been coming up, it has been growing more and faster. Now, when we talked about the products which are not healthier, not chemical free, and are made out of plastic, what we have to offer as a company is a one-stop holistic solution, pads that are good for body, community, and environment. They are not just cheaper, but better and faster as well. They are cheaper in terms of affordability compared to any other organic cotton and top layer organic products which are available out there in the market by 45%. They are 55% more absorbent. They are 100% chemical free and 100% side effect free. And on top of it, they are 100% compostable and biodegradable. We use our proprietary technology, which has been patented in more than 5 countries as of today, which allows us to convert any sort of natural fibers into highly absorbent materials and then a product of array from sanitary napkins to baby diapers. Over the time, we realized that as we don't want it to be part of a make, and dispose linear economy, we made our own business model, which is completely circular. We take and upcycle fibers like banana and bamboo, which are agricultural waste, and then we provide additional income to farmers who are working with us. As of today, there are more than 18,000 farmers which are part of Saathi family. Then we manufacture them in our factories with women who do not have jobs or they are underprivileged and would need more money for adding value to their family. And we have a zero waste manufacturing plant, which means we don't send out any materials from our manufacturing as discarded waste, as all of it is 100% natural and compostable. So they go back in the field and become a biomanure, bio-waste, and utilized back as fertilizers for the crops. We have a Robin Hood business model where we take from people who can afford to pay a premium cost on such healthier products in urban areas and utilize those profits to subsidize or give it for free in rural areas. So we are taking it from one hand who can actually afford for 2 and then giving it to another one from another hand who need and is in need of the product. And after that, not just the user had a better and healthier menstrual hygiene health, but the product are 100% compostable and biodegradable. So there is no bad impact on earth, either in terms of CO2 emissions or in terms of plastic waste, which has been generated. We have created this much impact so far. We support more than 8 UN SDGs. We have generated $97,000 for farmers in income so far. In next 5 years, we are looking at a $5 million income generation for farmers. We have employed 286 women in our manufacturing and distribution in rural areas. We are looking to employ 30,000 plus women by in next 5 years. In terms of health, better health, 28,000 women are directly purchasing product from us. More than 80,000 women are getting products with our other platforms, our distribution network. That's what we have created in terms of health impact. We are looking at 10 million menstruators having the product in next 5 years. We have already saved 38 metric ton of plastic going into landfill and 45 metric ton of CO2 emissions, which we are looking to increase to 18,000 and 21,000 metric tons in next 5 years. Our vision is very simple. No matter who you are, where you are, hygiene is as necessary as food, a shelter, and cloth on your body. And for women especially, it means a lot, and it is part of their life. You can say no to a lot of other things, but something as natural as menstruation is not in your control. and it is part of human life. Whether you are a male person or a woman, indirectly or directly, that is the power of birth which has given by God to the woman. And there is no shame about it. So we simply say hygiene for all and be eco-friendly, full stop or period. Thank you so much.